The previous 10-minute segment identified the problem. If you have learned enough to schedule an interview with the author, send an email to authors@thetaskforce.info. If you would like to know more, continue watching this video. The following 10-minute segment summarizes the science. Before we summarize the science, we should review what we have established to this point. Free nations are going bankrupt because their social problems are getting broader and deeper every year. Social problems are getting worse because governments are applying spring theory. History has demonstrated that applying spring theory to social problems is analogous to using the wrong equation when performing arithmetic. In short, spring theory is wrong. To save America and our civilization, we must solve our social problems. We must discover the theory that explains human nature. What follows is a thumbnail sketch of 20 years of research and analysis. This information was first introduced in The Theory That Explains Human Nature, registered with the Library of Congress in 1992. A detailed explanation is featured in The Essence of Man, Volume 1 in the Humanology series. A streamlined explanation is featured in the Psychology and Counseling Scam, Volume 6 in the Humanology series. The next segment of this video features a simplified explanation of the science by way of questions and answers. How does every animal, big and small, predator or prey, know what to do and when to do it? The answer is, the animals acquire urges called sensations and emotions that make the animals uncomfortable, compelling them to resolve their discomfort. Note that contrary to popular opinion, animals are not directed by fixed behavioral responses because a one-size-fits-all solution works only some of the time. Becoming uncomfortable compels the animals to do something as opposed to one specific thing. Instead of triggering a knee-jerk response, urges merely motivate the animals to take action. What is the difference between a sensation and an emotion, and how do they work? The answer is, sensations and emotions are specialized urges. When faced with a biological need, the animals acquire a sensation such as hunger and fatigue. When faced with a situational need, the animals acquire an emotion such as fear and anger. The various sensations and emotions, urges, make the animals uncomfortable, compelling them to resolve their discomfort. Note that resolving discomfort becomes their only concern. This is a brief summary of the science. The book articulates the details. What do the animals do when they become uncomfortable from having acquired a sensation such as hunger or an emotion such as fear? The answer is, the animals attempt to resolve their discomfort by selecting their best option from a short list of potential responses assembled from experience through observation and trial and error. Note that as a calculator performs calculations behind the display, animals have some ability to compute according to the brain power of the species. The testing of potential responses on the short list takes place in the subconscious by way of dreaming. Remember, this is a summary. See the book for a detailed explanation. We have established the following facts. 1. Animals have two kinds of needs: biological and situational. Biological needs evoke a specialized urge called a sensation, a feeling of discomfort. Situational needs evoke a specialized urge called an emotion, a feeling of discomfort. 2. When the animals become uncomfortable from acquiring a sensation or emotion, the animals select their best response from a short list of options that promise resolution. Note that the brain power of a species determines its maximum number of potential responses. Although well on our way, an important part of an automatic system of directives is missing. What happens when the animals choose a response that satisfies their survival need? The answer is, as soon as the animals begin to perform an effective response, their discomfort turns off immediately and completely like a switch. Note that if their discomfort waned incrementally, the animals would not know the response they were making was working. In addition, the animals would become confused by a myriad of partial discomforts lingering from needs they resolved previously. The book features a comprehensive explanation with examples and analysis. Note that the immediate cessation of discomfort creates a different problem because now the animals are no longer motivated to continue performing the effective behavior. With no additional component to the automatic system of directives, the animals would go hungry again in a few minutes or have to run away again from the same predator, and so on. The solution? As soon as the animals respond effectively to a survival need, a feeling of pleasure replaces discomfort, compelling the animals to continue performing the effective behavior. In short, an effective response is rewarded with pleasure that replaces the perceived discomfort. If you are uncertain, reading the book will transform doubt into conviction. Are we sure animals experience pleasure? The answer is, experiencing pleasure is essential for two reasons. First, animals need to learn what works. Pleasure confirms which responses are effective. Two, pleasure serves as a trap, causing the animals to overindulge. Overindulgence in effective behavior is an essential feature if animals are to balance many needs. Note that overindulgence increases efficiency, making it possible for animals to manage a multitude of needs, analogous to going food shopping weekly as opposed to shopping for every meal. The automatic system of directives is complete. It is comprised of three components. 1. Acquiring an urge makes the animals uncomfortable. 2. Animals choose their best response subconsciously. 3. If effective, pleasure replaces discomfort, the urge. Note that incremental levels of discomfort and pleasure would confuse the animals. Consequently, they are acquired and resolved immediately and completely. Unraveling the automatic system of directives and discovering how it compels all animals to meet their individual and social survival needs was more than just brilliant. It was a true breakthrough. Pun intended. We arrive at some general laws and principles. 1. Animals become motivated only when they are uncomfortable. 2. Animals only resolve discomfort. Note that they do nothing more and nothing less. For example, they do not seek pleasure or avoid pain. 3. Animals always choose the option promising the least amount of discomfort. And 4. Animals always choose the path of least resistance. These four general laws and principles are the bones of gravity theory, the theory that explains the behavior of the animals. Why is the theory that explains the behavior of the animals called gravity theory? The answer is, consider how the force of gravity affects water. Water moves only when it is not at its lowest level. It only moves to its lowest level. It always chooses the lowest between two levels, and it always chooses the path of least resistance. We can conclude, water responds to the force of gravity just as the animals do to the rules of nature. As such, gravity theory is the most appropriate label for representing the nature of the animals. How can we be sure gravity theory is correct? Can we be sure that resolved discomfort is the motivation behind all animal behavior? The answer is, first, gravity theory is the simplest solution. It is based on one motivation, resolved discomfort, and works with absolutes, on and off. Only a simple solution will enable animals of all mental ability to manage their many and varied individual and social survival needs. Second, all other possible theories are founded on multiple or incrementally increasing and decreasing inspirations that would surely confuse animals with limited brain power. Does gravity theory explain the motivation behind human decisions and behavior as well? The answer is, admittedly, all behavior can be explained with either spring theory or gravity theory. Consider the following example of a person sleeping when the alarm goes off. Upon waking, he decides to stay in bed, skipping work. According to gravity theory, the man is predisposed to resolve discomfort. The thought of the consequences of not going to work made the person less uncomfortable than the discomfort of getting up and going to work. According to spring theory, the man is predisposed to perform admirably. However, one or more external negative influences cause the man to stay in bed. He may have learned to be irresponsible from his parents, or his job is not interesting enough to motivate him, or maybe the boss does not inspire excellence, or maybe the wealthy are to blame for getting rich off the backs of the poor. As we see from this scenario, the motivations resolve discomfort and perform admirably, gravity theory and spring theory respectively, are able to explain the motivation behind human behavior, although only one theory can be correct. How do we know that resolved discomfort is the motivation behind human decisions and behavior? The answer is, spring theory in all its variations has been tried again and again with the same results. Not one variation of spring theory has worked. Note that an intrinsic spring predisposing human beings to perform admirably does not exist. Citizens may be held back and down by onerous social conditions, but poor decision-making and bad behavior are not the result of external negative influences. Poor decision-making and bad behavior are solely the result of becoming uncomfortable, choosing a response that promises the lesser discomfort, and then taking the path of least resistance. This methodology describes gravity theory. The one motivation, resolved discomfort, accounts for all human decisions and behavior, good and bad. Second, nature tends to opt for simplicity and universality. The motivation, resolved discomfort, is singular and works for all species all the time. Is gravity theory the theory of human nature that has been missing from psychology? The answer is yes. Human beings are singularly motivated, just like every other species on planet Earth. We too are bound by the 4 laws of gravity theory. 1. We become motivated only when we are uncomfortable. 2. We only resolve discomfort, nothing more or less. 3. We always choose the option promising the least amount of discomfort. And 4. We always choose the path of least resistance. If you are uncomfortable with the notion that the same laws of nature affect animals and human beings, note the following distinction. Gravity theory identifies the motivation behind the decisions and behavior of all species. It does not question or challenge our spiritual nature or belief in God that are uniquely and exclusively human. The previous 10-minute segment revealed the science. If you have learned enough to schedule an interview with the author, send an email to authors@thetaskforce.info. If you would like to know more, continue watching this video. The following 5-minute segment summarizes the application.